On Sunday, November 13th, at the end of the FNCS Invitational Tournament, Fortnite announced the next season. We were finally given confirmation that not only we would receive a live event, but the next season wouldn't just be a season 5 of Chapter 3, but a whole new chapter instead. Chapter 4 is confirmed to be happening, and I really couldn't be more excited. The constant highs and lows of Chapter 3 make me feel like Epic knows what works and doesn't work, which could lead to us getting some of the best seasons ever. So with that said, what do I want for Chapter 4 of Fortnite? What needs to be changed or added when it comes to the map, loot pool, cosmetics, UI, and gameplay changes? I'm gonna go through everything I think Chapter 4 needs to have. Also, I'm putting all this into a tier list, because why not? To be honest, I don't really know what makes a good map, so I'm just gonna go over what I would personally love to see. Before I go into my opinion, I think it's important to explain the impact zero builds will probably have on this map. Zero builds is really popular, like nearly reviving the game into mainstream popular. It's obvious Epic Games is gonna make this map appeal more to the zero builds crowd, and there's nothing we can really do to stop it. So I think stuff like mountains, hills, high platforms, and stuff that's hard to navigate are going to be rarely seen, which is fair to that crowd, but it sucks for us people who like that scenery. On the upside, we might get a lot of natural cover that will honestly relieve a lot of the stress from fighting, as I can imagine a lot of invincible structures being useful for healing and taking cover. Okay, time to explain my dream map. Starting off with returning POIs. I think Tilted was perfect when it originally came back, but has been changed and destroyed so many times in just 4 seasons that I'm okay with saying goodbye to it for now. I want a normal version of Greasy to come back, since that was one of my favorite drop spots. I loved Pleasant Park when it was around in Chapter 2, and I also loved Retail Row, so I would love to see both of those return. When it comes to new POIs, I want them to be bigger. A small complaint I have with this chapter's map is that the POIs were often too small, barely taking up a lot of the space, and most of the map just kind of felt like scenery. You can basically run through entire POIs in like 5 minutes. It was pretty sad. However, something I love that I think needs to stay is the different seasons on the map. I love the idea of being able to experience winter, autumn, a desert-like land, and big plain fields all in one single game. It not only gives variety, but it gives a nice bit of personality when compared to past chapters and other games as well. It also gives Epic an excuse for them to theme an entire part of the island around the seasonal event, while keeping a majority of the map the same. I also like the idea of the map being completely covered in snow, and I hope that wasn't a one-time thing. Map changes is going to have to go in necessary, just because if they don't get the map right, it could honestly ruin the whole chapter experience. When I say cosmetics, I'm mostly referring to the Battle Pass ones, since those are the ones that are tied to seasons and chapters. When it comes to Battle Pass cosmetics, my biggest complaint is how they're barely related to the current season themes and events. For example, this season's Battle Pass. The only ones related to the season's theme was Bites, the Herald, and I guess Paradigm. Everyone else just felt a bit like filler that could have just been in the shop or any other Battle Pass. I think a good recent example of a Battle Pass being tied to the current season themes and events was Chapter 2 Season 7's. While there were 1 or 2 skins that were a bit out of place, everyone else perfectly fit the season. The whole theme of aliens and invasions were perfectly shown through the original skins and even better through the collab skins. Rick is from a show all about sci-fi and space, and Superman is probably the most well-known character who's from a different world. Speaking of collabs, I don't mind that they're in the Battle Pass. I do dislike how they're tier 100, but they honestly don't bother me much. The unfortunate truth is that Battle Passes sell because of collabs, and highly requested characters being in them. And the reason they're tier 100 is so people are constantly playing the game in order to unlock them. We're going to keep getting them, and my only hope is that they're tied to current season events, and not just randomly there. Cough cough. This is going to give me some hate, but I actually love the current Battle Pass layout and Battlestar system. To me, it's much more user friendly. The only benefit I will give the old Battle Pass system is that it was easier to know what was free. Believe it or not, I like choosing what I want to get first from the Battle Pass I paid for, instead of being forced to get sprays and emoticons. Yeah, we still have to wait until we unlock whole pages to get skins, but I still like how we get to choose what we want first the majority of the time. I don't mind keeping how the challenge tab works in game, but I would love to see the return of the old challenge tab we had back in season 10. It was way cleaner and easier to see what you had to do and what rewards you got. I honestly really miss it. And that's everything I have to say about cosmetics and the UI. TLDR, make the Battle Pass skins relate to the season. I like how the current Battle Pass system works, and I want the old challenge tab. Cosmetics and UIs is going to have to go, and much needed, because the Battle Pass and UI give the game some personality and makes it stand out. Oh boy, Chapter 3 was insane when it came to gameplay changes. You know what was the biggest gameplay change Chapter 1 introduced? Being able to crouch. It wasn't possible in Save the World, but it was in Battle Royale. Should have been a selling point on the physical version. The biggest gameplay change we got in Chapter 2 was the introduction of swimming, and that's literally it. It was a welcome change that influenced future maps, but only 2 major changes over the course of 3 years was kind of sad, which is why Chapter 3 was phenomenal when it came to this. The first season gave us sliding, something so small that was so refreshing. It added a bit of needed speed, even if it was situational. Then season 2 gave us the best gameplay changes that were introduced. Mantling and sprinting. Holy shit, finally! Some much needed speed that made Fortnite feel and look faster paced. Looking back at old footage of Fortnite just looks a bit slow and sluggish compared to nowadays. Being able to parkour up builds, being able to sprint to help outpace a storm, and being able to slide down mountains without dying to fall damage helped revive and make this game feel less stale in my opinion. Season 3 didn't introduce anything crazy besides being able to ride animals. I mean, the more mobility options the better, but it wasn't as impactful as the first two. Season 4 didn't really give us anything besides chrome splashes, which probably won't stay after this season. So with all these constant gameplay changes, what should be next? I think the most obvious answer is the first person mode. It's been rumored and hinted at in the files for the longest of times. In fact, there was a glitch that lets you play in first person after the Chapter 2 Season 2 live event. I think the launch of a new chapter is a perfect time to introduce first person mode to the game, because this is a change that will permanently change the game if it's received well. If you thought Zero Builds changed the way Fortnite handled Battle Royale, you can't even begin to imagine how first person mode will affect it. While I don't think the game needs these big gameplay changes at the moment, I fully welcome it and I can't wait to see what Fortnite does if they do that something like first person mode. Gameplay changes are going to go in requested but not needed, because while needed to keep this game fresh, we've gotten so many in Chapter 3, I don't think it's necessary at this moment. The Fortnite lore and storyline is a mess, and I'm tired of keeping up with it and following it. You had a good thing going in Chapter 2, Fortnite. You ended it phenomenal at Chapter 2 Season 8 and built up hype for Chapter 3. Season 1 of this chapter was mostly chill, and I think Season 2 was honestly the peak of the storyline just because it felt like it was the big battle the game had been building up to. And then nothing happened with Season 3, and Season 4 is basically a repeat of Chapter 2 Season 8. And oh god, this thing right here ruined everything. Not only does it have inconsistencies with the in-game event like the mech's color, but it actively ruined the story of Fortnite. Fortnite lore in its story is pretty stupid, and it's just a dumb way to explain why all these crossovers and things happen in the game. It shouldn't really be taken serious. Yet I feel like it was always a nice part of Fortnite. It gave personality to Jonesy, the Seven, Sloan, and many more characters. Learning that Midas is the father of Jules is a cool detail to learn about the lore. But Zero Wars just doesn't make me excited or feel anything for the storyline anymore. If they're willing to change things after the events have already taken place, then why should I care? Remember that cool little fist bump that Jonesy and Foundation had when they went to go search for Gino? It was awesome. It made you excited to see what came next. Yet we can't have any of that, because Zero Wars just told us that they immediately found him afterwards and watched him die. Wow. Also, speaking of Geno, what a lame way to reveal him. The storyline has been hinting at him for the longest of times, and it was fun theorizing who was related to, how powerful he was, and just speculating how he looked. It was fun, but here comes Zero Wars just spoiling how he looks in a pretty tame way. We've basically been convinced that he was the main bad guy, the final boss the loopers would have to face. I was excited to see him be revealed and show us how much of a threat he was, but it was all wasted with Zero Wars. If you're not convinced Epic doesn't even care about their own storyline, remember how during the event it was just the players and the Seven fighting against the IO, and at one point we had Peely come and help rescue us? Yeah, none of that is canon, and the only reason we won was because the Avengers were there. Storyline can go in bottom tier until they show they're willing to put some respect on it. Okay, we're on the final section I want to talk about, and that's the loophole. Chapter 3 will probably go down in Fortnite history for having the most divisive loophole throughout its 4-season run. It was never really perfect, or even that great to be honest. From the SMGs demolishing the meta, to shotguns and snipers not being allowed to one-shot, and no fun exotics. Loophole was definitely a mess, and I think it was intentional. Epic is trying to figure out what works with loopholes in the game, and I don't know if they ever found the perfect mix. SMGs seem to be tough for Epic because they are necessary for you to shoot and destroy builds, and they also do some fast and powerful close-up damage. Yet Epic can't really seem to find a good balance of rapidness and damage. Shotguns were really not great this chapter. I don't think there was a single one that outshined another one. And for being the main gun for close-up damage, that's pretty bad. I don't use snipers, so I can't really comment on them, but I do appreciate that they can one-shot again. Assault rifles were honestly the best from this chapter. The Hammer, MK, and Striker Burst were all welcomed additions. And this gun can go F itself. For Chapter 4's loophole, I doubt we'll see the return of these guys, so I would prefer if we got the Striker Burst or Tactical Shotguns back to help replicate the feeling. When it comes to Assault Rifles, I really wouldn't mind the Hammer staying and seeing the return of Striker Burst and MK7s. Everything else can leave though. Snipers are definitely needed, and my only addition would be the unvaulted heavy snipers, again. When it comes to SMGs, I got no idea on how to fix it. Bringing back Stingers would be nice, but not ideal considering how much they dominated the meta. And never bring back the Charge SMG again. Also, bring back Chaotic Guns. I love rocket launchers, goo guns, and any mythic that causes mayhem and isn't a standard gun. This is a game with Goku, Rick Sanchez, and a walking banana. Let the loophole reflect that wacky chaotic goofiness, please. Loophole is going to have to go in necessary because it needs to be right. I had a bit more to say than I thought I would, to be honest, and most of it was just rambling about the issues about the current chapter and what I hope to see fixed. I think the biggest core issue about this chapter was how safe it felt. Everything just felt kind of by the books. Epic never really wanted to take a chance, it seemed, when it came to new guns or seasonal events, and just decided to do the bare minimum to say they did an event. When it comes to the next chapter, I just want to see Fortnite get chaotic again. I want to see them change the meta of the game and the majority of the map. If they're going to keep the storyline going, put some respect on it and tell a functional story that you don't retcon every 2 minutes. Make the battle passes themed around the season, it's only going to be staying for a couple of months anyways, and most importantly, just let the game be fun. If players are having fun with an item, don't nerf it or take it away just because the competitive community can't deal with it. Embrace the goofy side that made up this game. That's all I gotta say about this upcoming chapter. Tune in next week when I talk about why 1/3 of the Street Fighter characters are shoeless.